The Jenin refugee camp is a place with a long and troubled history. Located in the West Bank, it was established in 1953 to house Palestinians displaced during the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Today, the camp is a densely populated area, home to thousands of Palestinians. Sadly, it is once again at the center of a violent conflict. This time, the conflict is not primarily between Palestinians and Israelis. Instead, it is an internal struggle within Palestinian society. The Palestinian Authority, which governs parts of the West Bank, is trying to assert its control over the camp. However, militant groups like Hamas, which control the Gaza Strip, are resisting the PA's efforts. The PA argues that it needs to maintain security in Jenin to prevent it from becoming a haven for militants. They claim that their presence is necessary to protect both Palestinians and Israelis. Militant groups, on the other hand, accuse the PA of collaborating with Israel and betraying the Palestinian cause. This power struggle has created a dangerous and volatile situation in Jenin. The camp is caught in the middle of a conflict that threatens the lives and livelihoods of its residents. The clashes in Jenin are about more than just control over a small piece of land. They are also a battle for legitimacy between the PA and militant groups. Both sides are vying for the support of the Palestinian people. The PA, which was created as part of the Oslo Accords in the 1990s, has long been seen as the internationally recognized representative of the Palestinian people. However, its legitimacy has been eroded in recent years by corruption scandals, its failure to achieve an independent Palestinian state, and its security cooperation with Israel. Militant groups like Hamas, on the other hand, have gained popularity among some Palestinians for their armed resistance to Israel. Hamas's victory in the 2006 Palestinian legislative elections demonstrated its growing support among the Palestinian population. The fighting in Jenin is an opportunity for both sides to demonstrate their strength and resolve. The PA hopes that by taking a tough stance against militants, it can regain the trust of the Palestinian people and the international community. Militant groups, on the other hand, see the clashes as a chance to portray themselves as the true defenders of the Palestinian cause. The outcome of this battle for legitimacy will have significant implications for the future of the Palestinian national movement. The ongoing conflict in Jenin is having a devastating impact on the lives of ordinary Palestinians. The camp, already struggling with poverty and overcrowding, is now facing a humanitarian crisis. The fighting has forced many residents to flee their homes, seeking safety in shelters or with relatives in other parts of the West Bank. Those who remain are living in fear, trapped in their homes by the constant threat of gunfire and explosions. Basic services such as electricity, water, and sanitation have been disrupted by the fighting. Hospitals are struggling to cope with the influx of casualties. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society has reported that its ambulances have been prevented from entering the camp to evacuate the wounded. The United Nations has warned that the humanitarian situation in Jenin is rapidly deteriorating. The UN has called for an immediate ceasefire and for all parties to allow humanitarian access to the camp. The international community has expressed growing concern about the situation in Jenin. The United States, the European Union, and the United Nations have all called for an end to the violence. The US has urged both the PA and militant groups to exercise restraint and to avoid civilian casualties. The EU has called for a resumption of peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians. The UN has called for an independent investigation into the violence. However, these appeals have so far failed to stop the fighting. The international community is divided on how to address the underlying causes of the conflict, including the Israeli occupation, the expansion of Israeli settlements, and the status of Jerusalem. Some countries, such as the United States, have traditionally been seen as more supportive of Israel, while others, such as some European countries, have been more critical of Israeli policies. This division has made it difficult to achieve a united international response to the crisis. The situation in Jenin is a microcosm of the wider Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The same issues that have fueled the conflict for decades, land, security, and national identity, are all at play in Jenin. The conflict has also highlighted the deep divisions within Palestinian society. The rivalry between the PA and Hamas has weakened the Palestinian national movement and made it more difficult to achieve a negotiated solution to the conflict. The international community has a responsibility to help the Palestinians find a way out of this crisis. This will require addressing the root causes of the conflict and supporting the creation of a viable Palestinian state alongside a secure Israel. Ultimately, the fate of Jenin, and indeed the entire region, depends on the willingness of both Israelis and Palestinians to choose peace over conflict.